take part in this discussion, and it's hard to believe that 50 years have gone by since we signed up to the European Economic Community at the time, and 72 years since the Schuman Declaration. It's hard to imagine that. And I note, and I thank you for your written speeches, and I note what the Minister Taoiseach said at the time. Those convinced that Ireland's future lay in Europe show the courage to imagine a new Ireland. And I would say after 50 years, we're at the point where we need the courage to imagine a new Europe. Because the Europe that was set up for peace has not happened, Minister. And I know you disagree with me. And I will come to the figures, which are absolutely astronomical, and I've said them last week in the Dáil, and I'm going to repeat them tonight in terms of what is being spent on military that we know about. And at some stage, Minister, rather than just shake your head, you're going to have to deal with these facts, because I'm a committed European. I absolutely campaigned against the Lisbon Treaty because of the militarisation of Europe that was clearly set out, and for the freeing up of the neoliberal agenda that has commodified everything. I say that, and I say at the same time, I'm absolutely a committed European. I spent a substantial period of time in Europe, and so did my family. So this is not a simplistic thing. But what I have seen is, despite, I think it's Article 9 or 10, that decisions in the EU will be made as close as possible to those on the ground, that has never happened, Minister. That has simply never happened. So we've come to a point where it's Europe Day, when really we should have a Planet Day, because we're facing an absolute existential threat in relation to climate change, and also in relation to neoliberalism, and which Chomsky a few years referred to, neither neo, nor liberalism. But what it is a commodification of everything that we know, every service that we know, a price on everything, and the value of absolutely nothing. And so while the EU ostensibly and theoretically started out on a good foot to prevent war after the horrible Second World War, it went off in a different direction gradually over the years. More cynical people would say it was there from the beginning. I would like to take the more benign view that it happened gradually, and it became more and more in terms of a military force. Now, why do I say that? Because I'm going to repeat again for the record, Minister, and you might just note this. It's a recent report that I referred to last week. At what cost? Funding the EU security, defence and border policies, a document 2021 to 27, State Watch and transnational justice. You might look at it, and honestly, I said last week in the Cancorla, happened to be in the chair, I doubted the figures I was quoting because they're just so astronomical. I doubted them. EU increased security, defence and military budgets between 2012 and 27 by 123% compared to the last budget round from 19.7. EU funding law enforcement, border control, military research, 31 times higher at 43.9 million than the funding for rights, values and justice at 1.4 billion. The largest increase is the European Defence Fund that has a budget of nearly 8 billion. And again, I doubted this figure and I went back and checked it. 1,256% increase. This money will for the first time be used for research and development of high-tech military weapon. And I went on. It's on the record last week. But the biggest figure, the Frontex, EU's border agency, has jumped up 13.200% in less than 20 years. Now, with figures like that, Minister, you're looking at me, I disbelieve them. I know it's not interactive, I wish it was, but I wish it was. But there's no doubt that on every level, no matter what criteria we use, we are moving closer and closer to a militarised Europe. We're also moving closer to a consensus-type mentality when we know in Ireland the damage that does, when we need the courage to stand up and show a different way. That's why we got a seat on the Security Council. Lately, two men showed tremendous tremendous courage, and I want to compliment them. I didn't get a chance to do it on the last occasion. And they're part of the group Veterans for Peace. I understand they're in their 80s and 90s, and they took action down in Shannon, direct action, and a jury found them not guilty on 2 of the charges and fined them on another charge. And what were they? The 2 men are members of an anti-war group called Veterans for Peace, Tarek Cowif and Ken Myers. Now, I want to put their names on the record because, for me, they're veterans of Vietnam, and they took courage in their hand because they want to draw attention to what's happening in Shannon with the millions of American soldiers going through it on their way to war. Now, we're using this language for, I don't know how long in the Dáil, certainly. So I've been using it along with my colleagues here, and I only came in here in February 16, and we're told all the time, bring the evidence to us if you think there's something on the planes. Of course, we can't do that. So these men took courage in their hands and tried to do it. And then we look at the EU policy in relation to Frontex and building up the borders with the amount of money that's gone in, and how we distinguish between different types of refugees. All war is horrible. I'm on record for utterly condemning the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. But it's my duty to stand and question what we're doing as a country with our neutrality policy. I'm sorry that you're getting a little bit restless with these, if your body language is anything to judge by, Minister. But at which point will we bring some honesty to our discussion on where Europe is going? At which point will we bring in some clarity as to what we're actually spending on the military-industrial complex, with the arms going, as mentioned already, going to Saudi Arabia to slaughter people in the Yemen? When are we going to have honesty about our attitude to Israel and our ignoring of the report by Amnesty International that said they're operating an apartheid regime?
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you. When are we going to do that?